Wake up, world. Welcome back or welcome aboard. You are listening to the Doc Owen Show, coming to you live from the Hilltop Studios. This is Richard Doc Owen, joined in the studio by...
I'm a surefire.
And...
Uncle Bachi.
Uncle Bachi. We got a full house. We got a full show. You know, the news cycles are unbelievable. It is absolutely... It's a perfect time to start a career as either a talk show host or a comedian, or both, depending on your point of view. We're glad you decided to join us tonight. We are all over the social media as Doc Owen Show, DocOwenShow. We are making a hard charge for 5,000 Twitter followers. We are now at 700. No, we're at like 4795 or 4800 or something like that.
All right.
So there will be a huge prize for the 5,000th follower. But don't wait. Just take your chances. Sign up. Let's go. Get them out there. Tell your friends to follow us on Twitter. That's by far the best way to stay in touch. The minute the show goes live, you'll get a tweet, blah, blah, blah. You know, it really works very, very well. Tonight we're doing something, I don't know whether it's new or different, but it's not that easy to do. I don't think there's a lot of live internet radio shows that do it in-house, let's put it that way. But our phone lines are open, so we're ready to take your calls, and any one of the three of us or all three of us may jump on the line and respond and have a conversation. We can be reached at 210-843-8859. That's 210-843-8859. Give us a call, interrupt. We'll stop what we're doing and have a conversation with you. And if it's not any fun, we'll act like the phone cut off and go back to our business.
There you go.
All right. We have a blog that is, from time to time has more activity than others. It's blogging is almost a full-time job or a full-time. Some people make a full-time business out of it. Mm-hmm. We use it to really highlight our thoughts on things of particular interest that deserve a little bit more than just airtime once a week. We have the best way to listen to the show and tell others is we have a free app for both iPhone and Android. You may go to your respective store, do a search on Doc Owen Show, download the app, and there's our entire library. It's really pretty cool. I found another app this week that I'm going to mention later on in the show. We start everything in a very traditional manner. It kind of sets the tone for the Doc Owen Show players as well as hopefully for the audience. We begin with a note of inspiration from Ms. Surefire. Uncle Bachi gives us as he is wont to do. He lives in the past, so he'll tell us a little bit about this day in history, and then I've got a leadership quote or two. Ms. Surefire, take it away.
And tonight's quote comes from InsideOfTheDay.com. And it's from a gentleman by the name of Arnold Palmer.
Oh, yeah.
Professional golfer that unfortunately passed away last year.
Yeah, extraordinaire.
Yeah.
I mean, he made the game.
Yep.
Yep.
And his quote is, "The most rewarding things you do in life are often the ones that look like they cannot be done." And I am living that every day.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the most rewarding things in life are the things that you think cannot be done.
That's right.
Wow, that's good.
Words of wisdom.
Yes.
What happened, Uncle Bachi? Tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I will. I'll tell you whatever you want to know.
Uh-oh.
Now, as long as it's backed by fact. Okay.
I like it.
That's good. I like that. Was good.
Back by fact.
Back by fact. Okay. Some of you may have heard of the Amistad Mutiny. There was a movie out about it a few years ago. Well, anyway, on this day in 1841, the Supreme Court of the United States upheld the freedom and the rights of the slaves who were on the ship Amistad. They mutinied. They killed the captain and one of the crew, and the other two of the crew they either threw overboard or they just escaped. And the two owners of the slaves.
Wait. If they escaped, they went overboard.
Yeah, well,
I mean, that's what
I
happens.
guess you're right.
When
yeah.
you escape a ship, you're in the water.
Exactly.
Okay.
What I mean is, I don't know whether they
Unless
physically
you're-
threw them over or if
Or
they
they
jumped
jumped.
over. Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, so yes, they were guaranteed their freedom, and they were guaranteed free passage back to Africa. You have to remember that this is after the time of the Britain and America stopped the actual slave trade. Didn't stop slavery, but stopped the slave trade. That was in 1807.
Okay.
So that's what happened today. Those guys got their freedom.
They did. Mm-hmm. And it was upheld by the Supreme Court.
It was upheld by the Supreme Court.
So they were right.
It was Martin Van Buren objected to it, but he's dead. So who
Judge
cares?
Andrew Napolitano could take a lesson from him. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
That's it in history?
That's it for today.
For tonight? Cool. I have not one, not two, but three quotes from Crowned Grace International.
Wow.
This guy's been
Ooh,
busy.
You're on a roll.
Got my attention. The first one is from a gentleman by the name of Henry Ford. If everyone is moving forward together, then success takes care of itself.
That's a good one.
Okay.
Hey. Smart man.
This one is from General Colin Powell, who may or may not go down well in history. Time will tell. But this is a good quote. Great leaders are almost always great simplifiers who can cut through argument, debate, and doubt to offer a solution everybody can understand. Follow
That's a
me?
good one.
I like
Yep.
that. He did it right. And since we're on a military roll, this one is from General H. Norman Schwarzkopf. All right. Most folks remember him. Leadership is a combination of strategy and character. If you must be without one, be without strategy.
Good.
Yeah,
I like that.
I like that one.
That's a good one.
We're gonna talk a bit about wiretapping. If you notice the name of the show, it was Shh. We're being taped or tapped or however you want to say it, which is probably true. Been going on for a long time. But we're going to talk a bit about the wiretapping and the WikiLeaks blowing things wide open. I have some thoughts on that. We might have a bit of a conversation about a fella by the name of Jorge Ramos. How'd you say it? Where does he work?
Jorge?
Yeah.
Oh, gee whiz, now you caught me off guard. Univision.
That's why I'm a teacher, because I catch the student that's sleeping and ask him a question.
That's right. You woke me up.
Univision.
Yes.
Right, Univision, the rest of us. Okay, I got it. We're going to talk probably a little bit about PH, Publius Hulda, the Convention of States movement, just a Tesh. And speaking of Tesh, we had Dinesh D'Souza, the man in San Antonio, I believe it was last night. We did
Yes,
not
that's
get to go see him. There was some feedback about that I would like to address. He, Mr. D'Souza is a friend of the show. He's been on the show. We had a wonderful conversation with him. You can go back to the archives, and I'm sure his name is listed as one of the guests. So that will wrap it up. But before we dive into that, and I failed to put it on the board, but luckily I'm not completely addle-minded. We're going to have 6 to 8 to 10 minutes of Uncle Bocce's brief. And I think we're probably still going to be talking about George Washington.
Actually, no.
No?
No.
George just got 2 weeks?
1 week.
He was he was
remember,
the first president of the United States.
I understand that.
You're only going to give him 10 minutes of airtime?
No, he's coming back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's coming back. Last week was just to show you what prepared George Washington for next week or
whenever.
For whenever we talk about George Washington and the Revolution. That's what that was.
What a tease.
Yeah.
It's like a soap opera.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, if you watch every Friday, you know what went on all week. Okay.
So now we're at the end of, this is 1763. This is where things really started.
We're getting
happening.
close. We're getting close.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tempers are beginning to flare.
They are. But this was the end of the French and Indian War, the 7 Years' War, which was a global.
Before you get started, I'm gonna try real hard to interrupt you. The phone number again is 210-843-8859. Give us a call.
Please.
You're on.
Okay. The war was ended with the Treaty of Paris, and this set the stage for America being in a global struggle. Okay. George Washington actually started it. So the end of the war came, and there was the Treaty of Paris. The fighting was over, and the British and the Americans now could just settle back and enjoy the fruits of their victory. Yeah, okay, if you say so. The terms of the Treaty of Paris were devastating to the loser, which was France. The French lost everything they had on the North America, on the mainland of North America. British received Quebec, and they received the Ohio Valley, the port of New Orleans, and Louisiana Territory west of the Mississippi. They were ceded to Spain, and for their efforts, it was like a gift for their efforts backing the British.
Did everybody? Okay, so what happened? The British and the French had a fight on our soil.
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
it started in the colonies. Remember,
but then it went to Europe.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That was the significance of the war starting here.
Okay.
By George Washington, and it spread to Europe, where a lot of European countries got involved.
I know you're immersed in this. I was having trouble connecting the dots. Okay, go ahead.
Connect the dots for me anytime.
Okay.
Okay, because I do get ahead of myself. Okay, and it should have been a time to revel in the spoils of war. Well, that's what you expect after a war, right? Instead, the very victory temporarily brought American colonists close to their British cousins that would help tear them apart. Here's something of note. There is nothing like fear to make a group of people feel close to a protector. Britain at that time of the war was the colonists' protector because they fought on the same side. Okay?
Yeah.
They had long felt the threat of France, encroaching on them on the western frontier. So now they didn't have to worry about that. They needed the might of the British to fight France and get them out of the way.
Of course.
Okay? So Great Britain gave them that opportunity, and of course France lost just about everything. Now, with France gone, this was no longer true. They could be free to chart their own destinies, okay, the colonists.
Right.
The experience of the French and Indian War did not, in many ways, bring the British any closer to the Americans. British troops looked down on down their noses at the colonists.
Well, of course they did.
They did, exactly.
We didn't speak proper English.
Mm-hmm. They also regarded Americans as crude, lacking culture.
That's bull sugar.
Mm-hmm. The pious New Englanders found the British redcoats to be profane. Okay, this is the New Englanders who were very, very so-called religious at the time.
They were soldiers.
Okay. And they didn't like taking orders, the New Englanders. They just did not like.
They still don't.
They still don't. That's true. Okay. There was considerable resistance to helping the British at all until Pitt. Remember Pitt, Fort Duquesne, Pittsburgh? He was a very prominent man in Britain and established Pittsburgh and all of that and provided a lot of money for the war.
He's a high-paid movie star, too.
Brad Pitt, yeah. I wonder if they're related. During the French War, the French and the Spanish continued to trade, even though they were not supposed to. They did continue their trade, so there was still considerable tension. The American colonists did feel closer to each other. You can understand that because they fought together here. So they felt more comfortable with each other, and they all could share in the pride of the success. Now, in many ways, the French and Indian War was a coming of age for the English colonies. This was a wake-up for them because now they felt a closer tie with each other.
Right.
And were noticing how bad Britain was to them. Before long, they would do it again. Okay, as far as conflict with the British. Just 12 years after signing the 1763 Treaty of Paris, the actions of the British led to the American Revolutionary War.
Right.
And next week, we're going to start looking at what happened between 1763 and 1776 to bring that up. Now, just to lead us to independence, okay? That was 12 years later.
Right.
Now, the significance of the Peace Treaty of Paris are thus. The French and Indian Wars ended. The colonial empire of France was destroyed, leaving Great Britain dominant in North America. France passed all of Canada and all of Louisiana east of the Mississippi River, except for New Orleans, to Great Britain. Great Britain was left with massive war debt. Important point here. So what did they try to do? Okay? They tried to extract money from the colonists. Okay? Which really the colonists were not very happy with. And then finally, Great Britain issued the Royal Proclamation. We're going to talk about that next week as we go through the events leading to independence. So our next series will be that.
Okay, you finished. Good job, by the way. Always good job.
Thank you, Uncle Bachi.
You're very welcome.
Very informative and thought-provoking.
The idea is to be thought-provoking
Backed
and
by
to
fact.
understand who we are as Americans.
So you wound up with the fact, and that's what we're going to see over the next 12 years, the increased taxation of the colonists, right?
Right.
That was, as you just pointed out, started to repay the war debt for the French and Indian War, which began here, right?
That's correct. It began here at Fort Pitt.
Who started the war? Did we start the war?
No.
Did the French start the war?
No, the Brits started the war.
But they want us to pay for it.
George Washington was their colonel.
That's
Okay.
the point I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
They start the war,
Yes.
but they want us to pay for it.
Now they want us to pay for it. Yeah.
Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay.
It does. Sounds very familiar.
No,
History?
I'm not going after the Brits, but all I'm saying is, in the schoolyard, if you start the stuff, or you start the crap, and a window gets broken, the guy that started it pays for the window. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
That's the way it works.
Yes, sir.
No different. Should be no different in our nation states.
Exactly.
Okay. Nice job, Bachi.
Thank you. Good.
However,
All of you folks out there, I am Uncle Bachi. You can reach me at Uncle Bachi, UNCLEBACI, at DocOwenShow.com. I'm available for you.
you can even talk to him right now.
You can
If
call.
he-
Right.
You can
just
call.
right.
210-843-8859. Get her
There you
done.
go.
let's back up to current day events.
Here we go.
We may see some similarities to the history lessons we've been getting. We may not. I would hope, but there's always a chance that not everybody knows about what's gone on. I know that everybody knows about the wiretapping accusations and back and forth. This agency says one thing and the other agency says another. And quite frankly, I think it's all just monkey junk and BS. And I think so does Mr. Trump. I think he threw that snake in the middle of the table just to watch them all squirm.
I believe
That's
so.
true. Yeah.
You know, and to see if he and it may well wind up, pulling out some moles or some rats, or there'll be some folks that'll feel the heat and jump ship, et cetera, et cetera. I just unfortunately am so jaded. I don't think that we'll come to the truth. I don't think that we'll get to the bottom of it. I think it'll be a bunch of hoopla for very little profit,
A
but
distraction.
yeah, exactly. Now, along with that, or shortly thereafter, our friends at WikiLeaks, and if you have never been to wikileaks.org, you need to go there. Okay? It's a plethora? What's the word?
Plethora.
Yeah, that word.
Plethora.
Of information.
There you go.
A ton of it. I'm going back to this practice the leadership guy, simplifying it. I tried to use a big word. It didn't work. Okay. So, but WikiLeaks has published what they call Vault 7, which is approximately a little bit shy of 8,000 pages of information that was given to them about the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency, and all of their tools, all of their spy paraphernalia, okay? How they listen, how they watch, et cetera, which, by the way, I don't know whether this is comforting or not, but that used to be the exclusive purview of the NSA, the National Security Agency. All right. And the CIA and the NSA are competing bureaus. They compete with each other. And so the CIA got tired of the NSA filtering the information that they got. So they created their own NSA. You follow me? And how did they do that? They stole it. They stole the original code, millions of lines of code from the NSA, and then put it out under their own brand. So these two agencies are fighting with each other over their superior ability to freaking spy. All right? I think my exact reaction to Ima when that happened was Trump just blew up the world. I mean,
I remember you saying that.
Those were my exact words. That was
true.
before the CIA thing came out, I think. If not shortly thereafter, shortly after WikiLeaks came out. Here's what bothers me about this whole thing. And then I'll ask you what you think, because I can tell you're dying to tell me. Unfortunately, this is a sad moment in American history, because now, but it's a great moment in terms of American youth, if they will take this for the lesson there is to be learned, if they're watching, is what you're saying, if they're paying attention. And it's our job from Doc Owen's show to make sure they're paying attention or help them pay attention. That's what a young man and I talked about yesterday afternoon. He'll be on the show next week, Andres Holiday. We just told the world that they were right. We hear all the time, we as Americans hear all the time, the people from the Middle East and the people from Europe and the people from Russia and the people always complaining that our CIA is doing this to undermine their country. We always hear that America is the bad guy.
Yeah.
And we deny it because we know that's not who we are.
That's exactly right.
So hopefully the world will now know that we the people were always telling the truth.
There you go.
And we apologize for those amongst us who were not.
Yeah.
That's not, the CIA is not who we are. Mm-hmm. That's what bothers, that's what I think, that's what I meant by blow up the world. That it has now been leaked that what the rest of the world has been trying to tell us is true.
Yeah.
Have you thought about that from that angle?
Actually, no, I hadn't.
I mean, to me,
I hadn't either, but I kind of try to take that and put it into like context. I can understand like familiar things, and I see what you're saying. It's like you want to believe that that's not true. What somebody else is telling you about something that you think is right, but it's not. And
it's like somebody telling you about your parents.
Well, yeah, or a relationship.
Or right.
That's what
I
was thinking.
Boyfriend, girlfriend. That's fine.
Or even girlfriend, like classmate, friend,
right.
or whatever.
Okay.
And you don't want to believe it, and then it's like, but it is.
Yeah.
Then you start
propaganda.
Then you stop and you look at it, and you look at the facts, as Bocce brought out earlier, backed by fact. Mm-hmm. You look at the facts, and Dad, burn it.
Slaps you right in the face.
They've been right all along.
Yeah, and it exposes further what people in our country are trying to do to the minds of America.
Not just America, of the world.
Well, of the world, yes. But they're trying to tell us, the American people, we're the bad ones. Is that what you're?
Well, and that's now they're trying to bring it home to roost.
Yes.
Now they're trying to do what they've done around the rest of the world. They're trying to do to Donald Trump and his administration,
right.
and they're trying to do it to internet radio shows. We're fake news. They're publicizing the fact that we're the problem. Mm-hmm. No, we're not the problem. Mm-hmm. We should be so lucky as to be the problem. And I think we're the problem for them, but we're not the problem for the American people. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But what the young people, what Andres and I were talking about, and like I said, we'll play the recording next week. I just didn't think we had time for it this week because it's a pretty healthy conversation. Every generation has kind of a turning point, a flash point that helps define that generation as they then get older. Mm-hmm. And ours was the quagmire known as Vietnam. And it produced an awful lot of people like me who are we became conspiracy theorists. We were referred to as conspiracy theorists. Mm-hmm. We were referred to as, we just always saw, but I always read between the lines. I mean, I quit reading newspapers in the early 70s.
Good for you.
Because I just, you pick one up and I just knew that was what they wanted me to think. It wasn't fact. It was what they wanted me to think.
Exactly.
And I wasn't buying it way back then. Mm-hmm. And so, as life goes on, you pull yourself away from television. You pull yourself away from all sorts of the areas where they push propaganda out, right?
Exactly. That's why it's so important for the American people, to know who we are.
Absolutely.
As long as we understand the truth and the fact by the facts, nobody can mislead us.
Mm-hmm.
But I was talking to a 25-year-old millennial yesterday. It's the guy that's going to be on the air, Andres Holiday. I'll keep saying it. And what I realized was this generation has been pushed out into the world without that ability to know who they are.
That's right.
We were taught to know who we are. Mm-hmm. But unless you're deeply grounded in your Christian faith, that's the only place this generation has gotten it. They didn't get it in public school like we did. They didn't.
not.
They didn't go through the same. If you want to call it indoctrination, call it indoctrination. At least it's indoctrination in the American way, in American ideology. Then this millennial generation, this next group that's coming along, has not had that. So I see what is just beginning to blow up, what is just beginning to come to the front, thanks to Mr. Trump. It may well wind up being their defining moment of them going, whoa,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Grandma and Grandpa were right.
There you go.
You know, not Mom and Dad. Grandma and Grandpa were right. All the things they've been saying.
Yeah.
You know, and now they got to go look and see if they've got a Samsung television. Now they got to go look. They got to do little things like Alma does, put little yellow stickies over the camera on the top of her computer because she doesn't trust that they're not coming in through that portal and watching what she's doing.
Exactly.
That's right.
You don't, do you?
Heck no, it's on my laptop too. You name it.
Yeah.
So this may well define, and the reason I compare it to Vietnam was because that defined our generation to be anti-big government. Nothing has changed. All this stuff that's been going on with the Tea Party, those are the same people that were complaining about the way things were being done back in the 70s. I'd be willing to bet you. Maybe not to the extent that they were in the streets.
Right.
You know, but I guarantee you they haven't liked it since then. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I mean, that's why we're on the radio. That's why there is a Doc Owen show, because I've wanted this voice since the late 60s.
Yep.
And I didn't have the option to do it the way I wanted to do it, so I didn't do it. Anyway, so that's, I mean, that's the biggest thing about the CIA wiretapping, monitoring, eavesdropping, all this black magic code that they've got. That's the biggest thing about that revelation that really got my attention, is the fact that now America, we the people, must wake up to the fact that we got to get this under control, or the world is going to think we condone it. And I don't think we do. But maybe that's just me. Okay, long silence.
It's not just you. Trust me, it's not just you.
That's true.
Judge, you know the name Judge Andrew Napolitano?
Yes.
Okay.
He says his name wrong, by the way, but that's okay.
He does, or I do?
No, he does.
What it
it's
is?
It's not Napolitano. That's not Italian. It's Napolitano. Napolitano from Naples. Just a little botchyism there. Continue, please.
What a pain in the... Oh, I mean, okay. No, that's fine.
That's what he said.
But that's what he pronounces it on. He's Americanized it for TV. He's a big TV star.
Yeah,
if he pronounced it like you did, nobody'd go. They just call him, you know, that judge, the one that talks funny, that has a funny name on TV.
Yeah.
But if he pronounced it correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. I bet when he's at the Italian Brotherhood thing having spaghetti once a month, he says it right.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Judges double speak. Listen to this statement. Listen to this statement very carefully. We're talking about Trump's accusation that Obama has tapped his area, tapped Trump Towers, right? Wiretapped it. It's unconstitutional, but lawful for the president to order a wiretap without a warrant. You can't just have a look on your face.
Yeah,
the radio can't hear you.
That's
Yeah,
like
I know,
an oxymoron.
Yeah.
That's what he said. It's unconstitutional but lawful for the president to order a wiretap without a warrant.
That's almost.
Is that amazing?
The
What
deal
have we
is,
come to?
okay. This is power that was given to every president from Jimmy Carter up to and including Donald Trump. All right.
Yes.
Congress passed a law that said the president could do that. And apparently no one has challenged it.
Exactly. It's unconstitutional.
He's telling you it's unconstitutional.
And the legislature.
But currently it's still lawful. I mean, this show and our regular listeners all know that there are a lot of laws that are unconstitutional.
There sure are.
That's true.
But nobody has ever challenged them.
That's right.
All the way to the point of the Supreme Court. And this apparently is one of them.
That's correct.
Presidents have or can legally wiretap until somebody challenges it, according to Napolitano.
Show me that in Article 1 of the Constitution where the president has the power to do that. Show me. I dare you.
But that's why we get into so many heated discussions about the way the country is run. For those of us who know, understand, and appreciate the Constitution, even though there's some variance in that, Uncle Bocce and I have issues right now that we're trying to work through in terms of the Constitution itself and what it means. But that's okay.
Yes,
At least
it is.
it's a foundational document. So when we get into but there are people out there that know and understand and actually believe beyond that the Constitution is not the law of the land. The law of the land, just like it ain't, it's not. Napolio or whatever his name is.
Nappy.
Napolitano.
He might not appreciate that.
Too bad.
But Napolitano is telling you that it's not the law of the land. The law of the land is the president can do this. Even though it's unconstitutional. That's my point. The law of the land has been written by the courts.
Exactly.
And skewed a bit. It goes right down to the local level. I mean, we all know and feel like there's things that they do in your town that are stepping on your freedoms.
Yes, they are.
That are totally unconstitutional. But nobody takes the time or the energy or predominantly the money to work it all the way through the courts to the Supreme Court. Appeal, right on up the ladder. That's what it takes.
And if you judge shop, you can get the judgment that you want, not necessarily the judgment of what the Constitution allows.
Most likely not. If you're shopping
right.
for a judge, you don't want a constitutional ruling.
That's right. You don't.
You know what the real law is, and you're smart enough to try to work around it. Right?
Right. Exactly.
So take that back to the CIA. So it's very, very confusing. It's very, very challenging. If it's challenging for our generation, think of how challenging it is for the millennials.
And they want to make it that way too.
Yeah.
They don't have the foundation. That's the intent.
Yeah, and they want to make it like a pretzel.
Yeah.
Exactly. They don't have the foundation like some of us have. And this goes back to the idea.
But they can get it.
Yeah. Well, they can get it. That's what we're trying to do.
Well, I got a real good way too. Keep going, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is if you base your life on truth and facts, then you just like the Bible says, if you teach your children, the basic morality of things,
yes,
they will not stray from it.
That's correct.
Unless something horrible happens to them.
Right.
So if what we are is we're in a post-constitutional era right now in America, right?
Yeah.
The Constitution has been degraded. It has been denied. the founders have been made to be very ugly, unintelligent people. If you were to just understand the foundation, if you understand the Constitution and Declaration of Independence, we wouldn't need a convention of states. We wouldn't need a lot of these things if the Constitution was enforced. Unfortunately, we have people who do not want to enforce it.
Mm-hmm.
You just joined forces with Publius Hulda.
No.
Yes,
no, I
you
didn't.
did.
No,
I
on
heard
one,
you.
On one,
I heard you. You said.
Ding, ding,
Quote
ding,
me.
ding.
No,
Round two.
That
You
is
said
a fact.
if we-
That's true.
If we would support and honor the Constitution as it exists, we wouldn't need a convention of states.
That's correct.
Okay, that, my good friend, is her whole argument.
It's part of her argument. I don't
it's a-
agree. It's the whole argument.
No, it's
But let's
a
not get into this.
huge it's a huge part of her argument.
Yeah, it is.
And because we are supposed to elect men of moral character and wisdom.
And that's what the founders said.
That's right.
So
Harry Reid,
it's there already. It's there
Chuck
already.
Schumer,
Oh,
Nancy Pelosi.
Oh no!
what did we have
That's
for
like
dinner?
the devil's
Because
spawn.
you're about to have it again.
That's but and then there are people. I was ignoring it. Then there are 210-843-8859. Then there are people that, I mean, they just go. They want to create a constitutional amendment and have term limits. There's a lot of people that are buying into that. All right.
Yes.
You may be one of them.
No, I question the idea of term limits.
We have term limits.
We do, but in the current atmosphere in Washington, D.C., these guys who are there, career politicians there for 40 years, I wish the heck they would just all quit and get out of the way.
They're not going to do that, but they do come up for a vote from time to time.
I know.
It's not like we hadn't been able to vote their ass out since 40 years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
it wasn't that long ago.
remember how they're trying to control our minds.
But now that's all out in the open.
Yeah, it is.
So our burgeoning young people are all the folks that are going, Tea Party bad, conservative bad, yada, 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 conspiracy theorists bad, et cetera, et cetera. Well, wait a minute. You might want to start listening to us. We have, and in case you don't know what we're talking about when I say we have term limits, no, there's not a law, but it's called the vote. And now that we have a Google machine or a search engine out there, as my young friend Andres pointed out, there is no reason that we have to have any knowledge in our heads whatsoever.
That's correct.
All we have to do, it's best if you do.
I was
But
going to
it's-
say, am I going to school because
No.
why?
No, it's best if you do, because that raises you above those that are total. You really have to have the knowledge to know how to use the search engine correctly and to know what you found and whether it's legitimate or not.
Like you take accounting because you wouldn't really know the concepts behind Excel.
Correct. Correct. But this generation was not taught math. They were taught how to use a calculator. There's a difference.
That's right.
And that's exactly what you're talking about. So this generation has not been taught how to think. They've been taught how to retrieve,
Yeah.
how to go find it on the internet.
They're,
Don't worry about trying to fix anything and figure it out in the process of fixing it. Go to YouTube, and somebody will show it to you step by step.
Is that why critical thinking skills are becoming very scarce?
Critical thinking skills are an integral part of higher education in some cases, right?
well, it's supposed to be.
It is. But I can vouch for one anyway,
Okay.
or two.
Yeah.
I forgot. I had another train of thought that was going to the Publius Hulda thing. She is, and you need to go look her up for the audience out there. This is the first time you're hearing her name. It's just do a Google on Publius Hulda. That's Google. That's what brought me back to it. I found a great app. I was showing it to Uncle Botsy earlier. I'm assuming I have it on my Apple. I'm assuming it's probably available on Android. I think if I remember,
Google Store.
At the Play Store or wherever it is, right? And it is simply the Constitution. That's the name of the app. And it not only gives you the Constitution, but it gives you, the Constitution, word for word, Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, founding documents like Federalist Papers and Madison's responses, state constitutions, interesting, so for the state that you live in, there's treaties that we've made with foreign powers, some historic writings, a little bit of background, and some presidential addresses that are significant through the history of the country. And then there's a section in there called war-related stuff. All right? It's very factual. It's put out, who did I tell you? Liberty something. Anyway, go look for the app called Constitution. Carry it around with you. Refer to it. If you get in a discussion, which I hope you do, with someone about our founding fathers and founding documents and what we're supposed to be living by, there it is. As everything else, there is now an app for that.
There you go.
So you can go look it up. I said I was going to say something about Dinesh. I'm going to skip over any in-depth discussion of pH because I don't think Uncle Bachi took his blood pressure medicine. And, I don't want that on my conscience.
I have good blood pressure.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I do.
Dinesh D'Souza, a friend of the show, a absolutely fabulous, entertaining movie producer, and also a gentleman that bases everything he says on facts. Right? I mean, we've interviewed him, and he's one of the very, very few, if not the only person that I've interviewed that has left me at a loss for words. I mean, he just has the ability to nail it, so that you don't have any questions once he has answered the previous question. You know what I'm
correct,
saying?
Yeah.
He's a very bright and presentable guy. He comes across really well. He's real soft spoken. Former college professor and college administrator. Dinesh was here in town. And according to a local news person, formerly involved with a couple of organizations around town, somebody that I know quite well, and, I got a tweet or a Facebook post, I've forgotten what it was, the next day after Dinesh was here. And the gentleman said that Dinesh said, we need more Spanish-speaking radio and TV stations to speak to Hispanics and Latinos a conservative message. All right? This particular guy has been saying that for a while or something to that effect and picked up on that. Well, not having been there, I wasn't real sure, but that didn't sound like something that Dinesh would say.
Yeah.
All right? I went ahead and tweeted back that if he did, I disagree. Okay?
Good.
I think we need no television or Spanish-speaking outlets. This is America.
That's correct.
The best thing we could do for that community is to help them learn English.
That's right.
And if that community, anybody in there is listening, you will know that the people who really are the movers and shakers among Hispanics, Latinos, Mexican Americans, whatever you want to call them, the ones that are really the movers and shakers, the leaders of your movement, speak English. Mm-hmm. They speak Spanish to you, but they speak English to the authorities. Mm-hmm. They are bilingual, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm telling you, the best thing you can do for yourself is to listen to English speaking channels. Learn it.
That's right.
That's why we're here. And I don't mean any. I mean, for those of you not in our hometown, we're in San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah,
we have a lot of people who are bilingual, and a lot of people who don't speak English, or don't speak it very well. So anyway, so that's what I tweeted back, you know. And then today I found out from another source that was there that was not what Dinesh D'Souza said. I'm like, you're actually the one. What was it that you...
Well, what Dinesh said was that to educate the people in any manner, you know, they feel is important to get the message across. But he never referred to a different language,
right,
or, you know, appease those people and from that culture.
Yeah,
So,
which is a basic tenet of education,
right,
isn't it?
And then,
Yeah.
so to me, by this other person acting that way, is acting just like the liberals twisting the facts around and stating an opinion than the fact.
Right,
You know,
to their own end.
Exactly.
Yes, that is actually my point. They heard what they wanted to hear. They were This can happen, folks. They were listening through biased ears. We have biased eyes. We have a biased brain. We have biased ears, and it's really, you have to really challenge yourself to step back from a situation and view it differently. If you'd like a hint, let me give you a hint how to do that. You're going to think I'm crazy, but maybe it'll explain to some people who know me why I react the way I do sometimes. When I'm in a situation where I'm trying not to get sucked into something, you know, a bias. When you know how you feel every once in a while, it's like, I ain't buying this, but I'm not exactly sure how to fight it. Put in your brain to view the situation as if you were a dog.
Oh.
Okay? Get your brain down to that level. Only see black, white, and gray. They don't see colors. And think of, and quit listening to what they're saying and watch body language. Make yourself into a dog, and it'll give you a whole new perspective on the situation. And then when you get through doing that, you can get really good. You can make yourself into a gnat. You can make yourself into a mosquito. You can view a situation from a whole different world.
That's true, like even in academic world too, you have to.
That may be where I learned it. That may be where I learned to do that.
Unbiased.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, apparently our signal is being blocked out every time we give the phone number. And we've got less than a minute, so I'm not going to put it out now. But
call us after the show.
Maybe that's why internet radio doesn't do phone. You know, I think the bulk of our audience, we've said it before, we've got about 5 to 6 times as many listeners as a podcast as we do as a live broadcast.
That's true.
That live broadcast thing is kind of tricky.
But they can always comment afterwards on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Too.
They can do it on the podcast. They can do it on the Facebook page. They, tweet, do whatever you want to do. We're still out there and we're still watching. And we're working on doing Facebook Live, which we ought to probably have done in the next 2 or 3 weeks, so maybe we'll get a vision. Front row. Time to go. You have been listening to the Doc Owen Show. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Now go out there this week and take care, pay attention, and God bless.
Bye-bye, folks. God bless.